Well, this morning the clock is ticking. Less than 5 days to strike a deal on a spending bill, or wait for it. Government shuts down.
As we mentioned, the White House wants border wall funding added to the bill, but Democrats say no way. Joining us is Democratic Representative Mike Quigley of Illinois. He's also a member of the House Intelligence Committee, which we will get to in a moment. First, the border wall, Congressman. The White House wants funding for the wall in there. Will you vote for any deal that has such funding in it?
Absolutely not. Colossal waste of time, a waste of money, resources, devastating impact on the environment. It's a bad idea all the way around.
So let me just get this clear. No funding at all, not even $10, right? Not even symbolic funding. And in that, are you saying that there is no value at all in having a border wall?
Absolutely no value at all. Just understand from our perspective, sitting on Lake Michigan here, what they're talking about in the Trump 18 budget is leaving less money to restore the Great Lakes than it costs to send the President of the United States to South Florida 5 times. With that perspective, they're taking away money to protect our most vital natural resource in this country to do something that doesn't help us or secure our country whatsoever.
You know, one of the things that the president has floated, and his budget director have floated also, is getting additional money to help prop up Obamacare in exchange for funding for, again, the border wall here. Is that something you'd be willing to discuss? What's your reaction to that offer?
You know, look, in the last 6 years, there have been more Republicans in the House than at any time since the Hoover administration. When Speaker Boehner, then Speaker Ryan, came to us with some compromises, there was a cromnibus, they called it, and then an omnibus several times, in which I was willing to compromise. But in the end, they fully funded the health care law, they fully funded the EPA, and we were able to extract other things to help us on a local basis. But this isn't compromise when they stake out extreme positions and ask us to meet in the middle ground that's still way out there on the right.
So that's a no, right?
That's a no.
Okay.
It sounded not like a maybe
grounds.
there.
It's
The
theme of compromises are things in there that you both don't like. But when the president stakes out extreme positions to the right and then says, now come way out here to compromise, he's really accomplishing something that isn't a compromise.
All right, so you sit on the House Intel Committee. We want to make sure to get to a few questions on that. CNN is exclusively reporting that the FBI gathered intelligence last summer that suggests that Russian operatives tried to use Trump advisors, including Carter Page, tried to infiltrate the Trump campaign through these folks like Carter Page, who worked at one point as a foreign policy advisor to the president when he was candidate. I mean, sitting where you sit on the Intel Committee, have you seen any evidence of that?
Let me put it this way. In the totality of circumstances, I believe that if you compare it to a criminal case, there's probable cause to believe there was cooperation between the Russians and the Trump campaign. Beyond that, I can't get into those specifics. But if the American public saw what I have seen and they have listened to what I have heard, they would want a full-throttled investigation into what took place.
And just to be clear, there's no reason to not believe our reporting, which is that the Russians tried to infiltrate the campaign with people including Carter Page, correct?
Well, I don't want to mention a specific person, but it is very clear. I think the intelligence communities are in agreement. The Russians successfully hacked into our democratic process. And I believe that there's enough evidence to go forward that there was collusion.
You recently took a trip to Cyprus, not exactly a typical place for someone in your position to go. We know that Paul Manafort, who ran the Trump campaign as chairman for a matter of months, has bank accounts there. You note it is a key location for Russian money laundering. Why did you go to Cyprus? What can you tell us about what you found?
I think it's important for anybody on the House Select Committee on Intelligence to understand how the worldwide money laundering process works. It is a process that's used to avoid taxes, fund the regime in Moscow, to avoid sanctions, and sanctions are absolutely critical to our policy in North Korea, Iran, and of course in Ukraine. So what I learned is money laundering issues matter, and at the same time there were key subjects of this investigation that were playing in the same pool, so to speak, in Cyprus. So our work has just begun investigating what took place in various parts of the world, including Cyprus.
Well, Paul Manafort was at one point the campaign chair. Hey, we believe he had some banking situations connected to Cyprus. But let me try to ask you more directly at least. Is the idea of possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, was there money that went through Cyprus that would be connected to that?
Again, that's a specific that I'd be divulging information that I'm not really supposed to. All I can tell you is the totality of circumstances tells us we need to investigate this. We need a lot more lawyers and accountants and resources, and we need to work in several countries to understand fully how the Russians successfully attacked our democratic process.
All right, Congressman Mike Quigley from Illinois, thanks so much. Pretty fruitful discussion today. Really appreciate your time, sir. Global markets.